someone who's got nothing to lose in front of him. And he almost wants to, I'm sure, wants to tap the back of his bike and do the old classic, look, stick with me, I just need to close down and roll, and then I'll let you get laps of Moto2 action. And a good start from all those on the front row, good from bravery Gian Antonio. Now you'll see them aim towards the inside of turn one, and look at that from Beaubier through, and he's going to lead. Cameron Beaubier is leading the Grand Prix in the States. He's going to run it a little bit wide, however, and through comes the Raul Fernandez, who was very hard on his teammate there, but it's going to be Fernandez from Gardner in second place. Beaubier's going to be forced to sit up again and loses another couple of spots as Gian Antonio and Bezzecchi come through, and it's as they were pretty much as they set off. But Beaubier, what a launch. You can tell he means business today.
Yeah, he tried to get that stars and stripes right to the head of the field. He just run a little bit wide, and it did cost him through those first changes of direction. So he's been shuffled back to fifth, but that's the highest he's been in lap one at any point this season. So he just needs to settle in and chase these boys at the front.
Watch from on board with Remy Gardner through the bump of turn 10, a little bit wider line from Fernandez to try and deal with it, then into the first gear corner of turn 11. Gian Antonio maybe thought about a move, maybe defending from Marco Bezzecchi as they head on to the long back straight for the first time. 3/4 of a mile between turns 11 and 12. Both of them first gear corners as Bezzecchi switches to the outside of Gian Antonio, heading down to 12, and surely Gian Antonio will have the line in there as Beaubier got the braking though on Bezzecchi. Here he comes, Cam Beaubier is going through, and at the front also Remy Gardner. Oh, he came through on Fernandez, but Fernandez had the power, managed to lay it down out of the corner. A little twitch, wasn't it, from Gardner as he tried to stay in front of his teammate.
Yeah, it looks like Remy wants to get through straight away. He wants to control this race, but Raul Fernandez is having none of it, so he wants to lead from the front, as he's done so well in recent races.
Looking further down the order, Jake Dixon's hold on to 13th place. Sam Lowes has gone right back to 23rd. I don't know what's happened to the Brit, but unfortunately his weekend's gone from bad to worse as he pushed right down the order. I feel like Gardner wants to hit the front and have one of those races from the front like he had earlier on in the year. He's just got to find a way through past his teammate Raul Fernandez. One lap down as in the final corner he gets ever so tight between Marcos Ramirez on the 42. The American racing team having a brilliant start to this event. Fabio Gian Antonio blast past Gardner as they head up towards turn one. It's Fernandez leading. Here comes Beaubier. He lets off the brake for a second time, and Beaubier up into second place. What a start to the race from the American.
He means business today. John Huckins said it on the grid. He felt the podium was on the cards. Digi's back up the inside. Cameron's going to get the cut back.
He is, surely. No, but Gian Antonio there, I thought he just let it off too much and had to run wide and somehow stayed in it. This is not what Remy Gardner wanted to see. Riders in front of him who have nothing to lose. He's got everything to lose as Bezzecchi looked for a way through on him, and Fernandez is streaking away at the front.
All that jostling for position, costing them time and letting Raul Fernandez get away at the head of the field, so they can't afford to do this with Raul's speed this season as Fabio gets it all on the move down through turn 10.
And Beaubier bumping and shaking his way through turn 10 down to turn 11 for the American now, who squares off nicely. He is a previous winner in Motor America, but only all the way back in 2015 when that series was first conceived did Beaubier win here. So over the years, Tony Elias beaten him a number of times at this racetrack, but he's got the slipstream out from underneath. Fabio Gian Antonio, he's definitely got the braking performance too. Cameron Beaubier up into second place. Is he going to run it a little bit wide? He may well, but he's got to hang on. Beaubier's up to second. Gian Antonio will fight back, and Remy Gardner will hate watching this in front of him.
Remy's going to slice it in under. He does. He cuts Cameron Beaubier up there, and obviously that wipes the nose of Cameron. But all this back and forth is just what Raul Fernandez wanted. So it is costing them time. But for me, Cameron Beaubier looks aggressive. He looks fast enough to be there. But it's new for Digi. He's never really raced him, never battled with Cameron right at the head of our field.
And with that Stars and Stripes logo, it looks fast, and it's going to be fast, isn't it, when Cameron Beaubier's in this kind of form. Fernandez out front now. The gap has opened up to over a second over Fabio Gian Antonio. What did Gardner get wrong in this corner on the previous go-around that Gian Antonio was past him before we even got to the bottom of the hill?
Yeah, it was strange. I didn't actually see if he had a moment, but he lost a lot of drive out onto the straight, and it let both Digi and then Cameron come up the inside into turn one, so it's a lot more settled this time around.
Things settling down further down the order. Jake Dixon just dropped a position into 14th place. Sam Lowes is still back in 23rd. It's not going to work for him this weekend as we switch to our race leader, Raul Fernandez. As things stand with Remy Gardner in third spot. He would claw more points back in the championship, 9 to be precise. 25 would be the gap. Don't forget, still another 3 rounds to come after this one. And Raul said to Natalie earlier this weekend, oh, the championship's done, not even thinking about it, because Remy can just ride home. He can, he can finish behind me every race, and even if I win all of them, I'm not guaranteed in the championship. But that's all trying to play the mind games on his teammates.
Trying to deflect the pressure a little bit. But the problem is, if Digi gets in the mix, Beaubier, Bezecchi, and all of a sudden that Remy Gardner's not standing on that podium, the point swing can be huge then, and it can go towards Raul Fernandez. So as things stand, it would be a 25-point advantage heading into the last 3 races. So it's still all to play for. And
the word of warning is that we are in the early stages here. When we get to the latter stages, there's a couple of laps to go, the tyres are going to start. They'll last, don't worry about it. Everyone having moments, Marcos Ramirez having to pick up there. I was just watching him trying to tip the bike in. He had a couple of goes at it and thought, yeah, I probably have to let the brake off here.
That all resulted from Beaubier was late on the brakes, came in onto the back of Gardner, then it looked like Bezecchi got sucked in a little bit, and then behind
Di Gian Antonio's gone out. Di Gian Antonio's gone to see a concert in the stadium there, because he has just lost second place and dropped back to fourth behind Cam Beaubier in that extremely tight and nasty turn 15. And that has allowed Gardner to get a free run now in front of him to try and chase down Fernandez. What I was trying to say before Marcos Ramirez ran off track was, and before Digi did this race isn't going to be decided until the end, because things like this will get more and more frequent as the race goes on.
Had a little moment as he backshifted and locked the rear, and then he had to pick it up a little bit, just straight line it, and obviously that cost him 2 places. But Remy on that lap, he looked like he was back down to 0.9, but in the last sector, Raul Fernandez really strong, stretched it out another 2/10.
Tom Lutey's gone down, and that's at turn 19. That's a fast left-hander. As Tom walks away, actually has seen a resurgence in form recently, but he was just in behind Sam Lowes, and a previous winner at this circuit. In fact, he won the last time we came here in Moto2, and he crashes out. He crashed out of 24th position. It just shows how this championship has changed in the last 2.5 years. Cameron Beaubier in third place. He couldn't, could he? He couldn't do the miracle of winning at home.
It's very possible. I do think that the gap that Raul's starting to stretch out might make it a bridge too far, but he's well positioned in this podium fight at the moment. He does look good. He has done all weekend. Even Friday practice thought he looked good, but didn't quite have the pace. He's worked hard every single session, improved that pace, improved the setup, and now he really believes he's in there in the battle. He gets a good run, and actually nothing wrong with his aerodynamic package on that machine, and he's strong on the brakes into turn 12.
And listen to the crowd lit up by the performance here of Cameron Beaubier, 5 times a champion in America. He's a champion. He knows how to do it. He knows how to win races, win race after race. He's dominated seasons where he's won 90% of the events over here in the United States. And so he gets onto home soil, and what we've seen, he is a Sunday man. Gardner's going to come straight back at him. He doesn't need someone who's got nothing to lose in front of him. And he almost wants to, I'm sure, wants to tap the back of his bike and do the old classic, look, stick with me, I just need to close down and roll, and then I'll let you get stuck in.
It looked like a slight mistake from Fernandez at turn 15. He was wide. We were on the onboard shot, but it looked like either he was coming back for a very late apex.
Of the Americas in the USA, 3.4 miles of bumpy, treacherous asphalt for Raul Fernandez to negotiate for one final time. He has been impeccable throughout the weekend. Fastest on Friday in mixed conditions, fastest on Saturday when he went on to take pole position, and he is in line to take a 3rd win in a row. Fabio Di Gian Antonio and Marco Bezecchi, 2 Italians, should join him on the podium. Augusto Fernandez is closing on Bezecchi, but I think it's too little too late. And Cameron Beaubier, we have to quickly just talk about the ride that he's put in, Michael, because in 5th place, that is his best result in Grand Prix racing.
Yeah, by far and away, so that's a really strong performance. You can see he's still in that same shot as the leader. That's a really big step forward for Cameron. We've talked about his potential and his speed, and being at home, he's definitely raised his game this weekend. He'll have wanted to stand on that podium, no doubt. He'll be slightly disappointed, but a top 5, it's a really strong result.
And it augurs well for next year. What they said the difference was this weekend was he's coming to a track that he knows, and it makes such a difference. He's qualified well, and just look what he was able to do in the early stages, scrapping with the best of them in Moto2. So there is Fabio Di Gianantonio in second. Marco Bezzecchi is going to come home in third place. That's his 7th podium finish of the year. But it's all been about Raul Fernandez again today for the 3rd race in a row. The young Spaniard, 20 years of age still, in his rookie season, let's not forget. From Madrid in Spain, come over to the USA to ride here in Moto2 for the first time. He's only been here once before when he came in Moto3 at the very start of his career in the World Championship, and he comes back this time and he's going to take victory. A triple threat from Raul Fernandez as he takes back-to-back wins in Moto2 and reignites the championship challenge. Remy Gardner has to stand, as you can see him in the top left of the picture, at the back of the garage and see his teammates stroll to the line.